If you're unsure about what gain staging is or why you should be doing it, this tutorial will teach you how to use gain staging to get a better mix. Stick around because I'm going to be talking about what you can do in your DAW as well as your plugins to properly set up gain staging. Hey everyone, Jake from Transverse Audio here. This process is really just setting levels so nothing is distorting on its own or when summed together in the master. And it's also done to make it easier to adjust levels in the mixer, which I'll explain why later on. Okay, the main objective of gain staging is to ensure that nothing is clipping, which would be reaching a decibel level of anything 0 dB or higher. Pretty much all audio software, including plugins and DAWs, will let you know that your signal is clipping when you start to see red on a decibel meter. But it's not always this obvious. You might be just barely skimming 0 dB, and that can be enough to cause distortion. As a quick tip, it's okay to move your fader past the 0 dB marker, but what should not is the actual signal volume. And when dealing with many tracks or sources of audio, including mix buses, the decibel level of all of these will add up and can cause distortion that may not be noticeable on their own, but can be more obvious when they combine into the master track. That is the reason why you don't want to clip. Distortion can ruin a really good mix, and it's best to do it right away as it can be hard to figure out why your mix doesn't sound good later on. Not to mention, you might be making adjustments or adding in effects that won't sound the same if you gain stage after the fact. This is because if a signal is clipping before it hits the mixer, it will go into the effect plugins distorted. When it comes to recording live though, it is critical that this is the first thing you do, as it kind of sets it in stone once it's recorded, which is why it's not as important to gain stage samples or audio files, much different than the flexible nature of digital audio. Now, you might be wondering what a good decibel level is to set everything to. Although there isn't one answer to this, I can give you a range to aim for. The actual value doesn't matter too much, as long as it's well below 0 dB and is consistent through your project. It is, however, common for people to go for anything from -10 to -18 dB. This is so you have a lot of headroom for when all of the track's decibel levels combine in the master track. And you should try to have your master decibel level at least -3 or lower. If you can, -6. Some people even go as low as -10. This is to leave space for mastering your track, and some mastering engineers or software will require that it's at a certain decibel level. Okay, time to go over where you need to be setting up your levels to properly gain stage. Starting from the source, most virtual instruments will come with a master output level, and when they do, you don't need to worry about the pre-gain and can even slam it to 100 if you properly gain stage in the plugin. Like I said before, you should bring it down to -10 to -18 dB. An important thing to remember is that the faders in your mixing console change the volume after the signal has gone through the effect plugins. This is why you need to pay attention to pre-gain or clip gain in the case of audiophiles, to ensure the sound isn't distorting before the effects are applied. In FL Studio, the pre-gain is called channel volume, and the name can vary across different DAWs. A good place to have your pre-gain at is again around -10 to -18 dB. And going lower than this level won't make your mix sound better. It's just a safe range to stick to. If you find you are pulling a fader down too far, you can just add a plugin that controls gain to compensate for the level that it's down to, so you can bring it back up to 0. And there you go. The end result should leave your mixer faders as high or as close to 0 dB as possible, and will make mixing much easier. This is because the change in the decibel level versus how much you move the fader increases substantially the further you drop it down. And if you look closely, you'll notice how much this really starts to get out of control. This can make it very hard to fine-tune your levels, as small changes can dramatically impact the volume the further down your faders are. The best way to make sure you're not clipping is to generally mix at a low level, and if it's too quiet for you to hear, don't use your master fader to turn up the volume. Instead, you can use the knob on your speakers, headphones, or audio interface. I hope this tutorial on what gain staging is helped you understand how to use it to create a better mix. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Kind of stuff, please subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss another video. As always, thanks for watching.